Welcome back to the EgoLess podcast. I have World Shaker and the coach to the stars and even coach of the world. Tim Storey. He's the been coach for Robert Downey Jr., been on Oprah. Tim, dude, welcome, man. I'm actually kind of speechless. I'm never usually speechless when I'm speaking to a guest, but today's the first time.
Well, number one, I'm loving everything. Kobe's looking at me right there. I'm loving your outfit. I'm loving your decor with that cool Louis Vuitton look, and I'm loving your energy. So I'm proud of you. Been hearing good things about what you're accomplishing. So that's super cool. So it's nice to talk to you today.
I appreciate that. Looking you up, I mean, there is so much out there that you've done, and the lives that you've changed, and you're doing it in a different way than most of just kind of the regurgitated gurus out there. Like the things that you say, I mean, I know that they are influenced by a higher power, and so I feel like you've got the natural and the supernatural. How did Tim Storey become Tim Storey? Because I mean, we all start out the same. I mean, different,
Yeah.
of course, different places and upbringings. But how did you become who you are?
Well, thanks for the compliment, number one. The reality is there's a saying that nobody knows where it came from. You've been born an original, don't die a copy. Let's say if a family was to have 3 children, all 3 children are going to be slightly different or drastically different in their desires, their likes, their wants, the things they don't desire. And I feel that what happens a lot, we have a calling on our life, and the calling on our life is always specific, and it's unique, and it's unpredictable. So the more I get around amazing people, because I get to be around the best thinkers in the world, they talk to me about when they were a kid, they had specific dreams, or they had unique dreams. And the unpredictable side is you just never know who's just going to blow up and do something phenomenal. So I think with me is that I was specifically called to be Tim Storey, and that is to be a person who impacts people's lives for good, to try to lift them up. That's what I do. But I do it in orphanages. I do it to NFL teams. I do it to hip hop artists. I do it to movie stars. I do it to large crowds. I do it to addiction centers. Every one of those places I get to do it, it's super important to me. That's my calling. So I just stick to my calling. That's what I do.
I feel like, you're kind of like a hope dealer. You're dealing around, you're going around dealing hope. It might mean something different to children. It might mean, different to addicts. What are you telling people? Like, this is a crazy time, with this whole COVID mess, whether people believe the numbers or whether they don't, but it caused a lot of damage to people's jobs and lives. What are you telling those people right now?
Yeah, I think that it's important that we get back to like the origin of like what's going on in life. I think number one is that I teach people that, life is a gift. I think the challenge of life is that life is not always black and white. And I don't mean that racially. I mean that it's not just black and white in color. It's sometimes gray. Like some people come into this earth and they have asthma, or they come into this earth, they have leukemia, or they come into this earth and they have certain birth challenges that they almost never get over. So I think that that's challenging, that life is not just black and white, it's sometimes gray. But nevertheless, I think that life is still a gift. And so I think that we have to live our life. To live means to be fully present, fully feeling, fully alive. And I find that most people don't really live life. They go through life. To live your life is like if you're in the 2nd grade, quit fantasizing about the 3rd grade, just be in the 2nd grade. If you're in high school, don't just fantasize about college. Be in the moment, fully present, fully feeling, fully alive, and be alive in your life. And that's where I'm a pro. And I really help people to, have gratitude, be grateful, not just for what we don't have, but what we do have, and live that life. But then realize that we can have levels of life. I teach a lot that there are 3 levels of living: almost, most, and utmost. Almost means not quite. I was almost happy. The job almost worked. There's a lot of people that get stuck in an almost life. A most life is awesome. If you let go a helium balloon in the space that you're in right now, if you let it go, it can only go as high as the roof. I don't even believe you're supposed to live a most life. So you got almost, you got most. I believe you're supposed to live an utmost life, which is beyond. So
I love that.
that's what I'm into. I'm
I
into
love that.
utmost living.
You know, if somebody was blind, but they had, you know, $10 million in their bank account, they would give every single one of those dollars away just to be able to, you know, to be able to see. If somebody couldn't
Yes.
walk, they would give every single one of those dollars away, just to be able to walk. And I think that when I was able to finally change my mind and see that I'm rich regardless of all those other circumstances, it really changed it to where it's like every day is just so grateful, to where I'm not, you know, I'm not based on what I do. I'm not based on the deals that I sold. But just being, it's like, man, I'm just grateful to be alive. And if I'm here, I might as well, you know, change other people around me, make it better. And I just signed up before you got on here for your World Shaker program.
Yes.
I love that. And I love what you're doing with that.
No, thank you for that. And I'm going to say this to you. For as young as you are, let me just say this. Wow. I like the way you're thinking, because the reality is there's two ways of living: to look at life temporal, which means it's just like right here, or look at life eternal. And because I know you have a God-based, I believe in eternal life. I think that if you just see life temporal, then you better be in a hurry, man. You better beat the sun up, and you better be on your grind at all times.
That's right.
When you hit the piñata and all the candy comes out, if you have like 10 kids around, man, they're just going for the candy.
That's right.
And that's how a lot of like people are on social media. It's like, hit the piñata so we can all run and get the candy. And I'm not really running to get the candy, because I don't see life as temporal. I see it as eternal. So being that I see it as eternal, like, to go on with what you said, because I think you said some great stuff, is that I want to just find out, like, what is my lane? So I believe that we all have a calling, and some are called to be doctors, lawyers, psychologists. Some are called to raise 3 children. Some are called to have a pool business. Who's to say that their calling is not as great as someone who's a big filmmaker or someone who's a big influencer that has a gigantic plane? I think the key is to discover your calling and to walk worthy of your calling, but do it at the highest level. So when you get like that and you start to understand that, man, there's a piece that can hit your life that's pretty mind-boggling.
Yeah, but so many people are hiding that because they think, well, I'm not important, or I don't have the stage, so I'm not gonna do anything. Why do you think that is? Because that's a hard thing for, I think, a lot of people to even see and realize.
So let's go there for a second. Okay, so number one, if you write this down, everybody has a plan for their life. And then secondly, you have to have the right principles in order to carry out that plan. So like, even if you are the LA Lakers, the plan is to win the championship, but then you have to have principles. And in this case, that would be plays that you run. So you have the plan, you have the principles. And then the third thing is you're going to have problems. So the problems are going to arise, right? So then the next thing you need is the right partners. And then the last thing is you're going to need persistence.
You got to have the right plan. You got to have the right principles. You got to have the right problems. And then you're going to have, you got to have persistence.
Right. So, and then you got partners in there too.
A partner. Yep.
So here's the deal. There's a lot of talk about the plan. So people come to me, Tim Storey, you know, whether it be in a restaurant or hotel, or when I walk into 7-Eleven, on a daily basis, they want to talk about, like, how do I find my plan? Your plan is inside of you. I believe that while you were in your mother's womb, that the blueprint for your life was in there. And so the plan is in you. Well, how do I discover my plan? 3 ways: education, conversation, and observation. See, we're giving the good stuff because I'm on your podcast. Education will pull out the plan because you go, no, I don't want to be a biologist, but hey, I may want to be a designer. So you have the plan, then you have the principles. The principles are like the way you do things. And this is what a lot of people lack. They lack principles like being ethical, having character, showing up on time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being kind to others. You could be a visionary heavyweight, but if you're like a character lightweight, then your life will only go so far. So you have the promise, you have the principles, then the problems are always going to come. So I say to my family members that I mentor, because I mentor my own family, 70% of life is usually pretty good. 30% is going to be a lot of stuff you don't like and don't want to do and just comes at you from everywhere.
That's right. Yeah.
So when you are truly successful, you can enjoy the 70 while you deal with the 30. Powerful stuff.
My dad was a pastor. And so we moved around almost every year. So he would help churches transition. You know, I kind of had not kind of stepped away from the church, but I really did not stepped away from God. I always kept that relationship, but it was just like seeing the people. But we were in a town in Kit Carson, Colorado. There was 200 people in the town. So it was all cattle farming. So moving around from being in big cities to this was a completely different perspective on life. But they would say that, you know, if you don't have crap in the barn, they didn't say crap, they said shit. Like if you don't have shit in the barns, it means you don't have any cattle. So if you got shit in your barns, it means you got cattle. And if you have cattle, that means you've got, you know, you're doing something right.
That makes sense. Let me just say this to you, that even though being a pastor's son or daughter is not that easy, because you got to deal with so many silly people, you got a chance, man, to learn a lot about what to do and not to do.
Yeah, that's right.
Because when you are raised in that type of environment, you see a lot of like sketchy people and great people, and you can see a lot of what to do and what not to do. So it seems like you've learned a lot of good things. All right, so watch. You got the promise of this life. Okay. And then you've got the principles, the problems are going to come. And that's where you have to really reach for the right partners. To a person your age, if I was life coaching you, I want to really make sure you have the right partners in your life that have similar mindset and a similar motive. I don't want you just around guys that like kick butt. Like, oh my God, I met this guy. His name is blah, blah, blah.
Name dropping.
And he turned his business into this in 6 months. So whatever. I need somebody with the same mindset, similar mindset, and similar motives, because a guy like you, man, don't forget, you're eternal. You're not temporal. So you don't want to be the boy wonder for 2 or 3 to 5 years. Let's rock and roll for many, many years.
It's about legacy.
It's about legacy. But when I say legacy, that doesn't mean fame. Somebody's legacy that's watching right now, it may go as far as just your family, but that's cool. You know, at a family funeral, they might just always quote you, and then that was your legacy. But you never know who the grandkids are, the great-grandkids, the great-great-great-grandkids. So sometimes it takes a while to evolve. Like, you may never have seen this, but I've been to the area of Russia many times. These little Russian dolls that you go like this, you pull it out.
The Russian nesting dolls?
Smaller one, you pull it out. Yeah, then you pull it out like this. Okay. So everybody wants like their prize now, but sometimes, dude, it's not till like 4 generations that you get to see your impact.
No, it reminds me too is of the Chinese bamboo tree. Les Brown, and I where you plant it for 6 years, you don't see anything, but in 6 weeks it grows, 90 feet tall. And that's what I think that a lot of people don't want in their life, is to be able to build those roots and that base system to really grow. Because I think, for me, for legacy is, and a lot of people know my story, where I was homeless at 20, became a self-made millionaire by 25, but I thought the money and all that was going to, make me happy. went through a
Yeah.
divorce, went through all of these things that really tore my world apart, to where it was just like everything that I thought was going to make me happy didn't. And I knew that even more wouldn't. So I know for me, it's two things make us fulfilled as human beings, which is giving and growing. And that's, of
Yes.
course I want to make as much money as I possibly can. It's, we do, but to be able to give. And that's what I love about your life is your success comes just from making other people's dreams come true. So how do you, kind of talk about like having the right people in your life? I'm sure that you get pitched every single day, multiple times a day. Hey, Tim, listen to this. How do you pick the people in your life that should be there?
Yeah, I think that number one is I have a lot of respect for people. Even if somebody is shady or is like a manipulator, I might even give them a chance because who knows what happened in their background. I don't just like cut you right off. My vision really is to see other people's vision come to pass. But the reality is it's difficult with the higher you get up there in life, as far as responsibility of being so open to a lot of people. And that's why I'm glad you mentioned this. And if you don't mind if I mention this again, on Monday nights, I did something that you joined called World Shakers. So watch how cool this is. It's only $19 a month. And I am on there every single Monday. The only way I miss is if I'm on an airplane or if I maybe have a guest speaker who's phenomenal. But it's only $19 a month. And every Monday we talk about 100 traits of the greats. So trait number one may be vision. Trait number two may be character. The group that you'll be on will have about 100 people on it. So we try to keep it to like 100 in each group. Some of them are much larger. So if you want information on that, I'm sure our guy will send that to you. Okay. So it's World Shakers.
And I'm going to put the link in this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sponsor. If there's 10 people who reach out to me, I'll post it. I'm going to sponsor. If there's 10 people who want to do it, I'll sponsor if they don't have the $19 a month, I'm going to go ahead and sponsor that for them so that they can sign up on the program. Cause what you just said right there is so many people want, they want all, that platform, or they want to be with the people on the platform, but it's almost like, like the Bible, people call it the basic instructions before leaving earth. If people can be able to get in, listen to your program, get everything that they need. And then it's like, hey, then figure out what that next step is, but just be the best at where you're at right now. Because there's people that need you in your environment right now.
Yes. What I feel like a lot of people that are watching right now is that you've had so much resistance, and that you almost want to just sit down in that resistance. So you need power to push through. And the power to push through is going to come two ways. One, it's going to come through supernatural power. And secondly, it's going to come through partner power. Like even a guy like me, when you do a lot, man, you know a lot of people. So I know people today that are sick, have COVID. I know people that someone just died. I know some people that just had a great baby. Some people that just got new shows, got new movies, just dropped new big rap albums. There's a lot of stuff going on. But here's the deal, is that life will come at you. Watch, just boom, like a flurry. But you got to have persistence. So persistence, again, you got to partner with power, supernatural power, and then you got to partner with the right people. And that will help you in the area of your persistence. So I am not afraid to draw on the strength of somebody who is stronger than me that day. They may not be stronger than me next week, but they may be stronger than I am that day.
I feel like there is, not that there's a big problem, but I feel like there's so many people out there that call themselves life coaches. Life coaches, everybody's a life coach, it seems like nowadays, but these people aren't actually living. So how do people find those groups of people to have that if they really want to grow?
I think the reality is like if you have a 7-year-old son and you need someone to be like a sitter, you should check the references.
Yep.
To see how they did at the last few places they worked at. Same thing with life coaches. I agree with you. It's like the wild, wild west now. I think it's very important to check how they became a life coach, what their curriculum is, and what kind of results they got. So I will tell you something, a secret. Starting in 2 months, we're doing the Tim Storey life coaching system. After 30 years of doing this and over, thousands of pages of material, I'm going to start training people, and they take a 6-week course with me, and then you can get a certificate. So for more information, just go to timstorey.com, timstorey.com. So I'm excited about that because in that case, I've got 7 psychologists, psychiatrists. I've got all these amazing leaders. I mean, if you're in Oprah's camp helping her, says a lot, right? I'm excited about doing it, but one reason I'm doing it is because I think so many other systems are so watered down that I wanted to come up with a system that's at a very, very high level.
I'm excited. Was that the big news that you talked about in your Instagram story today?
Yes. So I'm super, super excited about it because it's going to go worldwide because I've been to 75 countries of the world. And so, I'm going to bring up a lifestylist in, from Sri Lanka to Stockholm, Sweden. So that's super, super cool.
What I was watching your episode with Ed Milet, and something that you said, and it's been kind of God's had it on my heart is when you're a hustler and you work, is you're looking for all those extra opportunities and reaching out to people. But when you realize that you're on the path that you're on, it's not that you don't have to strive to make those connections. Like if you and I end up doing something together, that's because it's what it's supposed to be and it's a good fit. And it's, and it's a vibe. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing is they're reaching out to so many people who are not on their path, just like you had talked about with Dorothy, going down the Yellow Brick Road. All these different things are pulling us off the path to where we're just doing too much.
Yeah. Can I tell you that one thing that will help people is that I meet a lot of people, including doctors, lawyers. I talked to an airline pilot the other day, really kind of talked him out of not quitting being a pilot because he wanted to kind of do what we're doing. I'm like, why would you want to study to be a pilot all these years and you flew for a big airline and now you want to get in the mix with us? And so here's what I say. One reason people are so hungry and so desperate is in the area of finances. They need the money, and then they get a real craving for power. And so I believe personally that you should have a job, a job, and that job brings in enough money to when you get into being a life coach or a lifestylist like Tim Storey, then that's just like icing on the cake. Don't drop everything and then like 100% try to be an influencer, because then you're tripping when your rent is this much and it's not coming in because you're not getting enough clients. So now you're just pushing buttons, going crazy, DMing all of us, because that's what happens, man. It's like
I've done it before, yeah.
DM crazy in my world because I'm super hooked up. So they're always asking me, can you get Kanye to do some, Jay-Z, P. Diddy, Oprah, Steven Spielberg, they're like, Brad Pitt, can you get somebody to do me a favor? It's like, come on, man.
I do want to see a Kanye. Desk? I do want to see a Kanye Tim Storey clothing line though. At some point, I'm going to leave you on that because I know your time is valuable. We've got to wrap up. The story that you told me, for me, I'm an innovator. I constantly innovate. I love innovating and putting pieces together. That pilot who wanted to get off and be doing what you guys are doing. For me, that pilot has a platform that most people will never have in their entire life. So say if he flies, 3 or 4 times a day, he has to give an announcement to 300, 400 people. That's such, say 4 times 400 people. That's 1,600 people every
good
single
thinking.
day. And for him, when he gives that announcement, I mean, a lot of the airlines have, they give them freedom to put your own spin on things, but he could be able to give a word of encouragement to 1,600 people, who that he is the only person that they're listening to. And of how many times he updates people, not that he has to like sell them anything, but he can give them that word of encouragement.
That was just huge. That was big. That's big time thinking, man. That's why I'm glad you were raised the way you were raised. Your mind is clicking on all cylinders. That's the truth. And let him do that. And then as other doors opened in this whole life coaching, influencer, podcaster guy. But let me just say this last thing, okay? Like a guy like yourself, you don't have to go try anything because you've already been chosen. And I told Oprah Winfrey this in her backyard. I said, just me and her talking. I said, I don't believe in chasing dreams. Chasing would be like letting go of 7 rabbits right now, watch, and saying, go get them all. You got 30 seconds. That's chasing dreams, okay? I don't chase stuff. I believe in cooperating and aligning myself with what heaven has said about me. Man, heaven must have had some good conversations because look at all the fun stuff I get to do. So why do I want to go chase like a wild man when I can just cooperate and align myself with what heaven has said? So in regards to your life, heaven has said, man. So get ready to just keep just taking it to that crazy level. And don't forget me as your life gets even bigger. Your life's about to get real big.
To have Tim Storey say that is.
I mean it. Replay this. You'll tell me this in 3 years. I won't name drop celebrities right now, but I can tell you 7 gigantic celebrities that I told them they were going to be what they are before they even stepped 1 foot in. And you're going to be very big at what you do. And even some of the challenges that you've gone through, it's brought a humility to you that sometimes we need. Some of my challenges have brought humility to me. And now it's about just alignment and in working your spot. So I end with this. When you work your spot, God will put the spotlight on your spot. I'm about working my spot, and God put the spotlight on my spot.
I love that. I'm in tears hearing you say that. It's just
yeah, but now I get to talk to guys like you. That's how I see it.
I appreciate you, Tim. Well, I'll let you go, man, and I look forward to connecting with whatever makes sense and adding value to you and to me as well.
Okay, we'll see you on World Shakers.
All right, sir. See you.
All right, bye-bye.
Get your ego out the way.